So I'm Saitar Yılmaz. I had the Turkish Banking and Finance practice at Philips Defense, and welcome to our session. I'm joined by our esteemed speakers, Hasan Bey and Sinem Hanım. I will obviously give them a moment to introduce themselves. Sinem, maybe we can start with you.
Yes, thank you, Said. I'm Sinem. You remember me from the opening remarks. I'm working at the Garanti Bank Project Finance team as the Infrastructure and Finance Manager. So we're basically covering the infrastructure and real estate projects in the Turkish market at Garanti.
My name is Hasan Demirhan. I'm the Vice President for the Black Sea Trade and Development Bank, which is the regional multilateral development bank. We have 11 member countries. So my responsibility basically project financing, loan facilities, trade financing, short-term unfunded, funded kind of trade financing activities. So basically I'm responsible around the 70, 80, 85% of the total portfolio of the bank. So but prior to that one, I was the Treasury Director for the Islamic Development Bank in Jeddah. So I lived there more than 20 years and prior to the Black Sea Trade and Development Bank. So here we are. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So, I mean, just starting, if I may, I want to ask my first question to Hasan Bey. COVID had a tremendous impact on all sectors, and infrastructure sector is no exception for that. The governments introduced fiscal stimulus packages, and then obviously this adds burden on their balance sheets. And with that in mind, do you think that how the PPP model would interplay with that? Now, in a different question, whether much needed private sector money now during the recovery time can be used for these infrastructure projects by using the PPP model. What are your views on that one? And particularly for the, how we can attract the debt and equity investors with that in mind.
Sure. Now the key question is here that currently, again, I don't want to repeat it, the same situation, all these things. PPP projects, I mean, it's a very, very kind of wide sectors, cover the very wide sectors. It's basically from the energy to the basically infrastructure, the transportation, railways, all this sector in general. So these are the, if you look at the, infrastructure in general, airport, railways, and all other transportation, especially anything related to transportation, it has been basically severely impacted by all means. For example, currently, most of the development bank, we are not the exception. Airports, for example, most of the airports now they face difficulties to basically pay on their repay their installments. Now, here PPP, most of the airports and transportation, they are basically PPP type of projects. So this type of project, there are, I mean, historically, two type of kind of structure you can see in this project. One is the one, if there is any kind of off-take agreement, kind of indirect, basically implied sovereign support. So this type of projects, they don't need actually much restructuring at this stage, but without any kind of off-take agreements or any kind of indirect guarantees, it will be difficult. And then there are some cases. So those projects now we're basically restructuring that one. So usually this type of projects are not basically this single financing institution. It is, co-financing or syndicated financing type of financing. So the syndicators come together usually and structure this type of projects. So those projects now is a problematic although it is not much kind of the big size. We basically, private sector means in this regard, the existing projects, basically we consider actually participation, because this type of project has two sides. One is the equity side, one is the loan side. Equity side is the SPV, basically is the one that they create an SPV, and they developer has the shareholder in the SPV. On the other side, the loan, on the loan side, the loan provider, you have a multilateral development bank, ourselves, international IFIs. We consider the others, basically, the other financer is a private sector financing, because they have their main mandate is make a profit. That's the bottom line. So in our development banks, we are semi-state organized. Let's put it kind of multilateral development banks. Our aim is not really pure income generation. I mean, we don't distribute dividend like other private IFIs and international institutions. So in this regard, as long as now the experience we have, as long as there is a sovereign guarantees or sovereign backup or sovereign related backup to this type of projects, still attractive by the private sector, let's say, from the private sector for both sides, in terms of the equity, in terms of the loan. So we don't see really a big problem regarding the appetite. But the issue is that this is in general, the new pipeline projects has been put on hold. That's the general kind of things. It's both public and private, because there is no clarity now which direction now we are going, basically. Because in our member countries, for example, at the beginning of the 2000, we had many airports, renovation on airports, extension of the ports and all other facilities and railways. What we did actually, as a new project, we put it on hold. Despite that there is a sovereign guarantees, because of the pandemic. All the financial institutions, including the private let's say private banks, let's put it this way, they are also waiting the really impact of this COVID-19 on these issues. So that part, yes, we put it aside. Anything in the new and in the pipeline for the time being. But the one which already under the implementation, the project PPP project under the implementation. So if there is no sovereign guarantees, for example, sovereign not guarantee pure guarantees, it's kind of offtake agreements in place. This type of projects, what we do, we restructure it. But for the restructuring, we ask usually basically kind of additional securities. And like, again, offtake agreements, or make it similar to the other one. So that is the things that we are trying to, and improve the kind of, improve the existing credit quality. Now, in this case, improving the credit quality, in this case, sometimes there are new participants. If there is such a thing, there are new participants from the IFIs, international finance institutions, for example, to buy the share of some existing one. So these type of things so the key issue is that the sovereign involvement. If there is an appetite for the PPP project, which has under the restructuring. Of course, for the PPP project, under the implementation, which has sovereign guarantees, there is no issue on that. Of course, what I've seen actually, especially energy projects, energy sector, maybe you are going to ask for.
Yeah, I will come in the.
Okay.
Maybe just
has a list. Yes, because this has a little slightly different stories. So what I'm saying in the bottom line is this. So we for the existing one in the pipeline under the implementation, basically, yes, they are facing the difficulties, but as long as there is a sovereign involvement there, a kind of implicit guarantees, things are okay. We're receiving our fund repayments, and we have no issues on that one. For the restructuring one, we are trying, yes, we are now engaging with our clients and trying to make sure that they have a kind of a sovereign offtake agreements, sovereign involvements, or sovereign guarantees on that one. In this case, we can see, and we have observed that there is a IFIs, they have an appetite to participate in the existing one.
When there is a sovereign guarantee in any form, not like an actual guarantee form, but like a procurement guarantee, as well as some sort of an incentive for the project itself. Yeah, I think the understanding is that you are the projects are, you are comfortable with those projects, and there will be on Sinem, if I get back to you regarding, as Guarantee Bank, you played a crucial role on most of the PPP projects, and would you mind telling us whether your risk appetite as a local bank, as well as given that your international side with BBVA has changed? So would you mind also talking about whether, given the current situation, do you have any additional bankability concerns or any other thing that you are suggesting for the new PPP projects, which would be relevant to what Hasan Bey is saying?
Thank you, Said. Yes, we have financed a significant amount of PPP projects in Turkey, and we are going through unprecedented times. Of course, many of the sectors face challenges, and the effects of these challenges are continuing. But personally, I think that PPP market is should be separated from others, because I don't think that this sector has been affected that much compared to the others. Why, you may ask? So the bankable contracts and structures that we all tried to put in place in the last maybe last 10 years, starting from the signing of the first implementation contracts and so. So we were all emphasizing pre-COVID panels, we were all emphasizing the bankability, how detailed analysis should be conducted, and how risks should be addressed under the relevant documents. And in practice, also in the previous panel, Kerim Bey mentioned that we saw that this theoretical mechanisms actually protected us in practice from further being affected. So, starting from day one, there are project documents signed with the public authorities, for example. These documents also include relevant clauses, maybe for force majeure, like back-to-back time and cost reliefs. And also in the finance documents, we implement ring-fenced mechanisms with mitigation plans in place. An army of lenders and legal advisors are working together to make these contracts bankable. So taking all these, and maybe most importantly, I can say that public sector played its role splendidly during this COVID time. There were no delays in guarantee or availability payments. And also for other sectors, such as airports, that was mentioned in the previous panel as well. Of course, they are affected. Globally, the airport sector has been affected. But we see that public sector is playing an important role here, negotiating with the investors, and it's in good faith, we know, and it's for the sustainable life of the project. So we can say that the sector is quite strong, and the risk appetite in Turkey's PPP market is still on table, talking on behalf of Garanti BBVA. And also, I'm confident to say this for all other local lenders, and also, I think, international lenders. Why? Because we are making market soundings, and we're talking with all of the international lenders and investors. First of all, we're seeing interest from international investors to operational PPP projects. We know some of the not maybe the construction companies, but some of the big funds, infrastructure funds, are looking to participate to these PPP projects as an investor. There is also appetite on the international lender side for refinancings of these mega projects, government-backed, government-secured mega projects. And also, there are newly tendered motorways. We have 2 new motorway tenders, which are expecting, which are actually both of them has not yet signed the implementation contract with the authority yet, but we expect the financial closings to be in 2021. And also on the EPCF modeled high-speed railways, we know that currently there are 3 tenders that has been completed. So given all these projects, these are mega projects, as I mentioned, we see a great number of international lenders working on these projects as well. So parties are keen to play a role in these projects. So not only our risk appetite, but also I think other lenders' risk appetite has not changed during this period for the PPP projects. Regarding the second part of your question, the bankability challenge, of course, there are challenges. We all touched base on these challenges. We're always trying to address these challenges in a correct manner, in the correct contractual structure, given the law and regulation limits and everything. But we can say, I can say that it is relieving to see that the theoretical structures actually are working in practice. And going forward, I think this case, this COVID scenario showed us maybe there is more to learn. So maybe we can discuss more in the future for the force majeure clauses, the back-to-back costs and time reliefs, for example, between the project documents and the other third-party contracts. These should be elaborated more in the future, because while we were writing these in the documentation process, of course, we're trying to identify all scenarios, but I don't think that we ever expect to see this type of a huge pandemic globally. Right? So, we put those, and we thought that they would never be materialized. However, this year we actually lived it. So, with some lessons on top of the existing mechanisms, I think maybe some documentational, some clauses, some parts can be elaborated, but I'm confident with the existing structure as well.
Okay, so I think it's fair to say that we have a robust structure already. Maybe a few nuances can be made, given the lessons that we have learned, but overall, we are confident that the mechanism, the contractual structure that put in place is beneficial for both the lender side as well as the sponsor side, which allow us to run through this process smoothly. I think it will be a fair summary. Yeah, it's good to hear that from the contractual wise. Hassan Bey, you just mentioned the energy one, so I'm just going to ask a question with respect to that. Turkey has always had tremendous energy needs, and now in the world there is a sustainability trend as well as the ESG trends. And given your institution, high play in this kind of fields, so in your view, which regional project financing experiences in the energy sector would make the most sense from Turkey to learn from, and what institutional arrangements could contribute to attract more investors for sustainable energy projects?
Basically, yes. As a development bank, we are very sensitive on the very supportive in energy sector, especially clean energy and environmentally friendly energy kind of sector. This is also in our policy. In our policy, every project cycle, when we, especially in the energy project, during the due diligence process, one of the key we address is the what will be the environmental impact on this project, especially energy project. So we are very supportive on that one. Having said that, basically, when we look at the Turkey in general energy sector, as far as I know, currently Turkey's still main energy is generated mainly from the let's say currently we have total amount of roughly 300 terawatt hours of electricity generated. In 2019 figures. So this amount basically is roughly 37% generated by the coal, coal sector, and around 30% hydropower, and around again the similar amount from the natural gas. So wind and solar and geothermal energies a little bit on the low side in Turkey. So now currently there is a kind of target to basically reach minimum wind, solar, and the geothermal and renewable energy portion by 2026, 50% of the total energy generation. So that is the target. Of course, with this target, in order to achieve this target, you need to have some kind of more kind of policy changes required for that one. The key is basically current feed-in tariff system, and also this is the key, basically feed-in tariff system, which is now expiring within this year, and there is a need to revise this kind of system immediately. So that's the key. Now, regarding what we have done, we also, as a bank, basically, we have mainly so far kind of 2-3 projects. Let's put it this way. One is which is in our website as well. One of them I just would like to give you an example. Gurmat Electric Üretim companies. We financed them in 2015, still under the repayment period. And of course, the purpose of this facility to finance the construction and operation of the geothermal power plant project especially in the Efeler and Germencik region in the city of the Aydın, western part of the Turkey. So this is a greenfield project, category A in our category classification. So this is we have also, as I said, very, very sensitive environmental impact on that one. So we estimated that one. So after the estimation, our contribution to the total size of this project is roughly 970 million, or roughly $1 billion. Our participation is like $55 million, and then there is additional amount. Last year we contributed 20 million in the same area. So because this is the one of the geothermal projects. So the second one, which is also very important, basically the one we provided Istanbul Metropole municipalities. It is a waste incineration projects. This is also, we are pioneer on that one. We did it together with other finance lenders as well. So this is known like energy from the waste, like EF plant project. This is location is Istanbul, very close to the new airport. And this is European largest energy from waste plant for municipal solid facility. This is the largest in Europe. So this is very important. Of course, we invested in 2017. The construction has been just completed, and we are expecting from 2021 because it has a 3 incineration line. The process start producing the electricity. Of course, the construction consultant of the project is the Istanbul Environmental Protection and Recycling and Reuse Company. We call it İSTAK. And this is, of course, municipality companies. So these are the basically one of the example for us, basically for the especially energy project. The others are mostly related to like renewable energy, solar and wind power project. These projects are easily financed, by the way, because these are a little bit a big size, and it's required the syndication of other lenders. The others are basically is a small size, And we used to have a participation on that one. But again, because of the tariff system change, it seems that there is like, slow down kind of investing in such a project. So that's type of observation. Historically, yes, we participated, but we are very active, especially renewable energy in Ukraine, especially in 2018 and 2019. Again, because of their tariff system, it became very attractive for the financial institutions. So these are the, this is the main projects, especially energy projects. So when you compare the energy projects with other kind of infrastructures and the transportation projects, a different kind of unique and different structure. And this, in terms of like, collecting the money, one of the challenge that we faced, actually, we have seen during this time, most of the borrowing, although this is a big size, most of the borrowing in the local, in foreign currencies, the lenders are in foreign currencies, and basically the collection, the income based on the revenue based on the local currencies. In 2019, and starting actually 2018, 2019 and 20, because of the depreciation of the currency, we have seen an important kind of repayment difficulties or non-performing portfolio on the renewable side. On the renewable side, we don't have any exposure. On the hydroelectric and the incineration side, we don't have any issues because it's a sovereign guarantee, and so far we have been managing well. So this is the key, especially for the in Turkey, the mismatch on the currency mismatch on the loan, on the asset side. You are in your income based on the Turkish lira, and the liability side is the foreign currency. So this mismatch is the main challenge that we observe and we have been seeing in the market. So that's the main challenge. So of course there are many measurements can be done on this side, because this type of projects, especially for the renewable, there is no offtake agreement, there is no coverage of the shortage by the government or any kind of authorities. But so because of that, that's the real challenge. And when you compare it with other infrastructure, big infrastructure projects.
Can I come in there, Hassan? I mean, you focused on energy there and renewables.
Yes.
You can hear me, yes? I mean, what COP26 next year, November, in Glasgow. I mean, what are the messages that you would like to see coming out of COP26 that are going to motivate investors and lenders into green tech and renewables, particularly from a Turkish perspective?
Now, based on the experience we have, especially on the income side, currency side, now basically there has to be a kind of because the government either allow the pricing changes. This is very important. Price reflection on the currency changes, so that the price, whenever the currency increase, then accordingly they can reflect to the price. That by this way they can hedge to some extent currency fluctuation. This is very important. Now currently the prices are determined by the regulatory authorities or energy sector, so that's why they are not really as flexible as before. So that's one of the important issues. This is the key issue, so that we can basically attract more investor in the sector. Second, also grid basically tariff regulation has to be changed, because it used to be, especially renewable energy sector, there is many incentives, very high incentives for the renewable energy projects. Now the incentive has been reduced in terms of the tax, in terms of the other kind of incentives. So it has been significantly reduced. So there is a need actually to maintain the same incentives, especially on the tax side, on the taxing side. And also now there is a kind of limitation on basically buying the the fundamental materials, importing the fundamental materials from outside. Currently, it is limited to local producers, Turkish producers. So that also, to some extent, it is good to support the local kind of producer, but at the same time, it is challenging for the producer to have a quality. That's the important things, to match the quality of the international producer, basically renewable energy materials producer in the market. So these are the three kind of important things, because when you invest, when you kind of finance these things, you have to take into consideration from the technical perspective, all these aspects of the regulations, let's put it this way. So as long as it has to be revised, it should be revised. And as long as the policy, through the policy changes, if it create a conducive environment, then I believe, I very, very strongly believe that this renewable energy share in the energy sector will increase significantly. Currently, it is not up to required level. By the way, all the European funds and some of the we also prefer this type of things, investing this type of things, because of the green bond issuances. The more you have investment in such kind of projects, the more portfolio you have for the green bond issuances. The green bond issuances currently as a relatively cheaper, and there are more appetite than the other ordinary bond, basically. And there are many funds established for this purpose, and many kind of development banks, like in the Europe, there are many development banks. So basically, they have also very much focus and prefer to have such exposure, especially in the renewable sector. So basically, it's all about creating a conducive environment for the investors.
Apologies. Sorry, just adjusting the new reality. I just dropped off from the line. Apologies for that, for the inconvenience.
That's okay.
Thank you very much, Hasan Bey. I think that, Chris, you take the lead on asking for the questions, but from the response that I heard from the first one, you were saying, Hasan Bey, that provided that the mitigants are in place with respect to hard currency mismatch, there will be still interest. So, I mean, if I may go with another question for Sinem. So, I mean, Turkey did a great job, amazing job for the last 20 years regarding the PPP sector in all fields. What do you think, I mean, which sectors PPP have so far proven to be the most suitable for the long-term investment? And which obviously the other sectors will be present a greater opportunity?
Well, I think the motorways have proved to be the most suitable projects for long-term financing. And voice may be echoing, I'm hearing myself, but sorry for the inconvenience. We were quite successful in implementing PPP scheme, as you mentioned, since the early 2010 maybe. Now there have been, I mean, motorways on hand, and now there have been high-speed railway tenders with EPCF structures. We know that government gives importance to these projects, to railway projects and high-speed railways. And in the upcoming period, railways can present a great opportunity as well. Currently, the EPCF structure is a bit different than the one we see in the motorways. In the EPCF structure, it's assumed that the Turkish Treasury will be the borrower. But whereas in the motorways, Turkish Treasury gives the debt assumption to the project, to the lenders. So in that matter, it's a bit different, but we think that it can also be implemented as a PPP project in the upcoming future. Also, Hasan Bey was mentioning about a waste project that they have financed. I think in the upcoming period, it's important to see social and sustainable PPPs in the near future, such as the waste projects, wastewater treatment projects. I know that there has been some regulation or law drafts about this project, but I'm not sure whether, I mean, in what status they are now. But it should, I think it should be a really important area under the PPP scheme. Because, you know, now also Hasan Bey mentioned about the green bonds, green loans. As Garanti, we have also executed the first green project finance loan, the green corporate loan. We have gender loans. We give huge importance to this sustainable linked structures, and therefore with this new PPP scheme, with the waste water treatments or with waste PPP structures, I think sustainability can also be linked directly to those projects, and it's also important for our. It's essential for our growth as well, for our sustainable growth, not only economical growth but also sustainable growth as well. Also, we are hearing some port projects in the pipeline to be tendered under the PPP model. We all know that there are different types of PPP models, like build, operate, transfer, BOTs, BLTs, build, lease, transfer for healthcare PPPs. We have transfer of operation methods, which are mainly used in the port sector. So we expect to see some upcoming port tenders in the pipeline. This can also be used under the PPP structure. Therefore, we have, I think, I mean, not only motorways, but we have railways, to sum up, railways, ports, and social PPPs, sustainable PPPs, we hope to see in the near future for long-term financing. This can present good opportunities in the years for both investors and lenders.
Thank you, Sinem. Hasan Bey, IFIs are always playing a crucial role when a country is establishing its PPP scheme on the sectors. Like, for instance, we can say Romania is very recently has done that. And would you mind elaborating a little bit more on the IFI's role and their contribution when a country establishing its PPP scheme, and in particular, you know, which sectors in Turkey? I mean, Sinem just mentioned that maybe railways present more suitable PPP opportunities in Turkey from an IFI perspective, from your perspective.
Okay. Usually IFIs, when we identify the project, I mean, as a multilateral development bank, we engage with the basically the planning organization, official planning organization of the countries. I mean, whatever they have, they are thinking about for example, for this year, beginning of for the next year, we engage with the Treasury and for the Turkish planning office, and what is their plan for basically what is their priorities basically for the especially infrastructure project, PPP type of project. So these are the first things that we engage with them, and then based on this engagement, for example, usually December is the engagement time for us to the authorities, local authorities, including the Turkey as well. So based on their priorities, and we focus whether it can be the a PPP project or other private sector projects. So in this case, for the Turkey, especially as Sinem Hanım mentioned, that most of the kind of sectors, what they do, they select especially nowadays the railway. And also some of the hospitals, also, there is also especially hospitals also under their plan. Even they are pushing a little bit on that one. By the way, on the hospital side, we are very active in financing Konya Hospital and in Istanbul, basically hospitals, in Ankara, Etlik hospitals. We are very active on that one. This is under the implementation, basically some of them already completed. So based on the country's direction and priorities, we basically engage, we put it in our pipeline. So that's our as a multilateral institution, that is our approach to the projects. So the other IFIs, of course, this type of projects is a big size. All the, whether it's a PPP structure, mostly these are the PPP structure. It's a big size and it has to be together with the other kind of co-financer or syndicator has to participate on that one. Usually in this type of project, PPP project, multilateral development bank takes the lead. That's the important thing. So we take the lead, and then other IFIs, basically participate on that one. This is usually, it's not always, but this is the usual case. That's what we basically what we have. But in addition to that one, we have also in ourselves as a Black Sea Trade and Development Bank, we have a certain kind of action we have taken actually, especially on the PPP side. We basically released basically a statement regarding this one. BSCTB is committed to make a best effort to continue supporting, especially our member countries, clients in our member countries. We are focusing on we assigned around 900 million for the new operation in 2000. Basically, it was in 2020. Now we're continuing for the 21. Basically, the target is like to assist the sectors in the industries most affected. So, which is also is given by the authorities of our member countries. In the current, for example, crucial conditions, the changes in the market perceptions and the risk, liquidity, of course, we have to continue to assist small. That's the important things. But also, this is not only SMEs, but small and medium-sized enterprises, the most basically affected segment of the company. So this is also because this is the request mainly comes from the member countries, especially nowadays. Of course, we do explore all co-financing opportunities with other development banks in the shared member countries to be more relevant and create a significant impact. Additionally, also, BSTB pioneered in establishing an online PPP BSTB center, which shall be basically launched soon to attract the investment interest in the infrastructure projects and serve as a reference source for PPP initiative throughout the Black Sea region, all the region, including the Turkey. The center, basically, currently in the center, what we have around 100 PPP project from across the region. This is all Turkey, all the way from the pre-investment stage to the basically including the Turkey. This is not only the existing one, also basically cover the all other basically new projects as well. So of course these are the mainly this is our target as a Black Sea Trade and Development Bank. So as I said, it's not only for the PPP private project, but SME project. How we can finance the SME? Usually, we provide the SMEs through the local development banks, like in the Turkish development banks, like Turkish Exim Bank, like Ziraat banks. Basically, they have their own kind of program for the SMEs. So what we do usually, we participate that program and we contribute that one. Usually, this type of program are specifically designed for that project. So we also, it's not only us, also banks also
Thank you.
participate.
Thank you. I mean, in online PPP platform sounds quite interesting. Thank you. And just my last question, do not want to take most of your time as Sinem. So as Guarantee Bank, you participated in many of the projects, and do you think now is the time for the alternative financing methods are introduced? So rather than the bank loans, do you think that a tap into capital markets would be possible? Obviously,
Yes.
COVID effects might have been delayed to these efforts, but do you think that how do you evaluate the possibility of this?
Yes, the key
Alternative
word is
funding for the PPP project.
yes. The key word here is to tap the capital markets. We have been emphasizing this for such a long time. Unfortunately, we have few examples in Turkey. We have seen a quite number of mega projects being tendered, and there are few mega projects we know that in the pipeline. Not only for the cost of funding part, but also while these projects are highly prestigious, they require a significant amount of financing from the lenders. Local banks may run into sponsor concentration limits. As local lenders, we aim to enter the transactions with high ticket sizes, and we do not, like international banks, syndicate or distribute or make silent participations in the background. We usually take and hold the loans. Unfortunately, the syndication market is not that deep in Turkey. That's why local lenders enter these transactions with huge ticket sizes and take and hold throughout the life of the loan. So this would create some concentration limits in their balance sheets for the same sponsor group, let's say. Therefore, innovative financing solutions such as project bonds are necessary to expand the investor base also. We are aware that investors do not like to take construction risk of these mega projects, but I think here a hybrid structure can be built where the local lenders will fund the project on the initial construction phases, and when the project becomes operational, international investors through the project bonds can take out the local lenders or the international lenders who have participated this loan at the early stages. And also by this, they can extend the tenor, carry lower risk of the projects. And also, as this may decrease the cost of funding and increase the IRR, and also free up sponsor limits at local banks. And as I mentioned, we have few project bonds. We have Elazığ PPP as a greenfield project bond. We have Mersin Port as a brownfield port, which is actually a successful example of what I just said, because additionally, including Garanti, 6 banks financed the port back in 2007. And once a port turned operational, once the operational started, the investors took out the initial loan with a project bond. At that time, it was 450 million. And also, 1 year ago, at the end of 2019, they rolled the bond while increasing the debt. It was $450 million at that time, and while they were rolling the loan, they increased it to $600 million. So this shows the interest, actually. Although we don't have many examples, the examples we have shows us that these should be tapped, as you have mentioned. So we expect that the bonds will be a strong alternative to attract investors. Obviously, here the important point will be as you mentioned, the COVID, for example, delayed this process, because it's important to make the preparations, like the ratings and other documentation and everything. And once you have the window to go into the market, it's really important to catch that window. What I can suggest to investors, if they want to tap the project bond market, is to start working. I mean, of course, it takes time and it costs money, but when there is the correct window, when there is the opportunity, I think no one wants to miss that, because we had those opportunities like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when Turkey's rating was higher, when CDS rates were lower. So there was this opportunity. So it can come again. So what I can offer, what I can propose actually, is for investors to prepare for this. And when it is time, I think they should look out for project bonds.
Thank you. Thank you. I think.
Okay. Can I know we're running out of time here. We've got time, and it's a big question. We don't have time for answering, but I mean, I'm aware. I'm sure you're aware that municipalities, particularly Istanbul and Ankara and Izmir to some extent, and some others, are looking at big smart city projects and creating infrastructure that will be environmentally friendly. And the difficulty is, and liquidity is a big issue here, because the municipalities lack liquidity in order to take these projects forward. I mean, is there any way that lenders can come up with some form of creative borrowing to in order to fulfill some of these projects that are there waiting and ready to go?
Can I make a comment on that one, especially liquidity issues?
Yeah.
Look, the key issue is here, what also we have seen in other member countries, to issue local currency bond, and finance the project in a local currencies. This is much kind of easier than, much easier and basically easy to hedge the currency fluctuation than the other way around. Now, in general, actually, what I'm expecting, especially in 2021, there will be huge liquidity in the market, especially foreign currencies. Let me put it this way, because many kind of central banks, basically in the United States as well as Europe, they announced the packages. Basically, they are injecting the cash into the market for the COVID-19, mitigate the risk of the COVID-19. So quantitative easing in the United States, I'm expecting, especially after the new president, will continue. So now, the liquidity-wise, there is no issue. What we have seen, especially in 2020, in the mid of the 2020, when the government start injecting the cash, we have flooded by liquidity as a development bank by different kind of basically sources, financial institutions, because now currently euro is basically there is a negative cost for the euro. On the US dollar side, now it's for the long term, it reached to negative basically cost on that side. So liquidity wise, foreign liquidity wise, it's not an issue. But the problem is this: maybe Turkey is the least one to basically benefit from these huge liquidities. That's the it's a long debate, but at the end of the day, we need to basically create an environment again, okay, to basically to take part of this huge liquidity I'm expecting in 2021 for the foreign currency. But at the same time, what we do in our countries, we did it in Azerbaijan, we did it in Georgia, we are doing it in Russia. We are issuing the local currency bond, financing the project in local currencies. Of course, what we do is swap basically, because our unit of currency in US dollar, so we swap our exposure in local currencies immediately. So now, again, there has to be an environment in Turkey also that can easily swap your position when you issue it in the local currency. So by this way, to some extent, from from the local issuances of the bond, to some extent, you can mitigate the liquidity issue. This is on the Turkish lira side. On the foreign currency side, again, it will be a big advantage that 2021, I'm expecting huge liquidity for foreign currency. Again, there has to be measurements and policy issues to attract and to make sure that the flow of foreign currencies in Turkey. So that's the two important things to overcome this issue.
Thank you, Hassan. I know it's a big subject. You can't deal with it in this session, but I think it's something we need to bear in mind for the future. And if anybody's got any suggestions that we can take offline that would be of interest to the participants, then I mean, please speak with Emine. People can provide a bit more information on that offline. So it's my fault that we've extended this session because I interjected with a couple of questions. But I'd just like to thank Saeed for moderating this. It was a very interesting discussion, and also to Simon and Hassan for their contribution. Very informative and very valuable. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Hope to see you next year.